Paul Kalanithi's life and career didn't unfold exactly as he planned. But even though his disease was terminal, that didn't make it any less of a miracle. Paul Kalanithi was a brilliant surgeon with intellect and talent that could have catapulted his career into the pantheon of greats. But in middle age, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. In his last year of life, he wrote a powerful memoir about living and dying and what it means to be human. Paul Kalanithi was fascinated by the interplay between literature and science, so he studied both at a top university. However, it wasn't until after medical school that he truly understood the meaning of life itself. The author, Paul Kalanithi, was obsessed with the question of what infuses life with meaning. Literature only gave him part of the answer, so he turned to neuroscience. As a child, Kalanithi loved books and spent most of his time in libraries and bookstores. This passion led him to study literature at university. After applying to many medical schools, Kalanithi was accepted at Yale. It was in the anatomy lab that he found himself confronted with life and death. While students worked on dissecting the dead, cutting through skin and bone, Kalanithi saw a sign of humanity's fight for life even within death. During his fourth year of medical school, Kalanithi made the decision to specialize in neurosurgery. He knew this choice was far from easy, but his path was clear. So, following his graduation and completion of a rigorous residency program at Stanford, he began practicing, an experience that tested him like none before. In his second year of residency, Kalanithi had on-call duties. That meant he would be the first to arrive in an emergency and, if needed, decide whether someone would live or die. His skills grew with every patient he saved, but all that work weighed heavily on his shoulders. Once, a patient was rushed into the operating room with severe brain trauma. The team saved him, but he would be forced to spend the rest of his life in an institution. Results such as this caused Kalanithi to ponder the quality of life versus a life lived. Grueling years of study, countless hours on call, and residencies that took a toll on any budding doctor led Kalanithi to believe that the pain and weight loss he began to experience was normal. Not enough rest, food, etc. could all lead to the symptoms he was having. But when the pain became too much, he sought help. Kalanithi's doctor prescribed rest. He had a few x-rays, and they turned up nothing serious. Kalanithi was not convinced, but decided to keep his mind off the pain and finish his residency. After all, he had fought so hard for it. Eventually, even without diagnostics, Kalanithi was aware he was suffering from cancer, but he still wanted to finish his residency. He had lost considerable weight and suffered from a persistent cough. Although he had been in a weakened state, Kalanithi was able to see his daughter Elizabeth Acadia born on July 4th. He remained at home with his family despite being unstable and unable to sit, read, or drink, but still felt happy. His health rapidly deteriorated after the birth of his daughter, and he was soon hospitalized. After discussing his treatment options, Kalanithi decided to avoid life support, aware that if he'd opted to go on a ventilator, he might never come off it. After all of his years of witnessing what the body could do with medical intervention, he decided that the quality of life he would have trumped the time he had left. Kalanithi concluded that as the time he had left was losing its meaning, there was little point in keeping his heart beating. Kalanithi passed away on March 9, 2015, but left behind a poignant understanding of what it means to be human.